Hello, junior scientists. Today we're going to learn about a very special group of plants called the Asteraceae. The Asteraceae, or just asters as we often call them, are a plant family. Now, what does that mean? A family of plants is a group of different plant species that are closely related to each other and share certain particular traits or things that are unique about them. There are about 450 plant families in the world, and the Asteraceae are one of the biggest families. You can find asters all over the world, and there are a whole lot of plants here in Minnesota that are in this family. You may have black-eyed Susans or an annual or perennial Coreopsis growing in your backyard science bed. But there are so many others. Sunflowers are in the Asteraceae family, as well as echinacea plants, even yarrow and dandelion. One of the special things about asters is their flowers. Let's look at this sunflower here. What we would usually call the flower is actually called a composite flower, made up of hundreds of tiny individual flowers. It's kind of hard to see at first glance, but if you use your hand lens or a magnifying glass, you'll see what I mean. A quick tip for using your hand lens. It's usually best if you leave some space between the lens and the object you're trying to magnify, instead of pressing the lens right against it. Now we're going to zoom in and take a closer look using the Coreopsis. If you don't have any Coreopsis blooming in your bed, you can follow along with black-eyed Susan, or echinacea, or sunflower, or even a dandelion. If you can't find any of those plants in your yard, let me know and I'll bring you some. So we have our inflorescence, or the composite flower, which is what we call this thing that looks like a single flower, but is actually hundreds of tiny flowers smushed together. Let's take a look at it with our magnifying glass or your hand lens. What do you see? You may see some little insects crawling around, but focusing on the inflorescence, you can see the outside edge is a circle of petals. Now each one of those petals is attached to a special tiny flower called a ray flower. You can remember that because these petals look like the rays of the sun. So our ray flowers are around the outside of the inflorescence, and all the tiny flowers on the inside here are called disc flowers. Now these composite flowers, made up of all these little ray and disc flowers together, is one of the things that make the Asteraceae unique. Now, ask your parents to help you cut the inflorescence in half so we can take a closer look. Now, use your hand lens or magnifying glass again. Look at either end of the inflorescence and see if you can see the individual ray flowers with the long petal attached. Those petals help attract pollinators to the plant. Then look at all the disc flowers toward the middle. Do they all look the same? Probably not. Some have their anthers out, producing pollen, and on some of them you can probably see the stigmas, which is where pollen gets stuck when a bee visits from another flower. Then that pollen travels down toward the ovary of the flower, where there is a little baby plant egg. If the pollen makes it, this little flower will grow one seed. Each composite flower can thus produce many, many seeds. Well, I hope you had fun learning about the Asteraceae family. Now that you know how to look for the special composite flowers, you'll be able to identify asters almost everywhere. And since there are over 30,000 plant species in this family, that's a great skill to have. Now your next mission is to see if you can find any bees visiting an aster in your yard. Try to watch the bee as long as you can and then draw it. We'd love to see your drawings, so have your parents email me a photo if they can. All right, that's all for now. Bye.